To be honest, when I first saw the official trailer, not the teaser trailer, but the official trailer of this film and continued to see it pretty much every animated film that I went to this year, I have to say I really wasn't all that excited seeing Trolls. I felt that this is one of those movies that when it comes out to theaters, I could skip it and see it a different day, a different time, whether it be on DVD or TV or whatnot. But on a day when we had to think of a second movie and had nothing else to see, we saw Trolls instead, and I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. So yeah, by the time I'm actually recording this video and finally reviewing this film, it's been out for quite some time, and you probably already know what Trolls is about. You've probably already seen it, if you wanted to see it. In the world of Trolls, there are two main creatures that are featured in this film. There are the tiny, happy-go-lucky trolls that pretty much only sing, hug, and dance their entire lives. On the other side, there are the big, depressed, miserable Bergens. Now it's believed that the Bergens are so miserable and so nasty that they can't feel true happiness. The only way that they can feel happiness is to eat a happy-go-lucky troll. In fact, the Bergens in Bergentown decided to make a whole holiday of eating trolls. They've had the trolls caged in the center of town for quite a long time, unfortunately for the Bergens, and fortunately for the trolls, they escaped. The trolls escaped into the forest in order to have peaceful, happy lives and a carefree lifestyle of just singing, dancing, and hugging. The soon-to-be leader of the trolls, Poppy, who is voiced by Anna Kendrick, decides to celebrate their freedom with the biggest, loudest, craziest party ever. Unfortunately, that party is too loud because it catches the attention of one Bergen that's been searching for them ever since they escaped. And now the Bergen captured all of Poppy's friends. Poppy takes it upon herself to set out on an adventure to Bergentown to save all of her friends. But thankfully, she has the help of another troll. That troll's name is Branch, and he's voiced by Justin Timberlake, and he's the only sad troll in the village. Well, maybe he's not a sad troll, but he has lost all of his color, he had a tragic event in his life, and now he's more of a survivalist. And more of a realist, I would say, but a little bit more negative than most realists. And like I said, these two set off on an adventure to Bergentown to save all of Poppy's friends. Now I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this film. I did not think it would be as deep as the film actually is. But let's not get that far into it yet. The voice acting was really good overall. There's a lot of famous people in it, a lot of famous voices, a lot of famous musical voices. Practically all of them are Poppy's friends that have been kidnapped, so there's not a lot of voicing from those people. Essentially, the major voices are Anna Kendrick as Poppy, Justin Timberlake as Branch, and two voices of two different Bergens. Well, three Bergens, if you include the villain that finds them. There's Zooey Deschanel as a Bergen, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, whatever his last name is, as the King Bergen, or the new King Bergen, the young king, and Christine Baranski as the evil Bergen that ends up finding them. Yeah, she's definitely the evil villain of this film. She's the chef, so she's the one serving up the trolls for Bergen dinner. And I would say all the voice acting from these five people was very serviceable, especially Justin Timberlake as Branch and Anna Kendrick as Poppy, because they're our main two heroes. And essentially, they are both the main characters. They both have a character arc. They both have some really major actions that leads to the climax of the film, that leads to the solution. And so essentially, they are both the main characters, even though it focuses more on Poppy, because she's mainly the point of view of this movie, especially since she narrates it as well. Which I have to say, I like how it narrates the film. I like how it tells the story. Because there's moments during the narration where it all turns into a scrapbook, and because she is the narrator of the film, because she's the narrator of the story, and she's into scrapbooking, it makes total sense. Now, as soon as I heard all these musical people being the voices of the characters and a song playing throughout the majority of the main trailer, I was like, okay, this is going to be a musical. This is not as much of a musical as I expected. In fact, there are long stretches in the movie where there is no song. I think this is less so a musical and more so what you'd expect from maybe a Disney movie with music in it. And one of the things I'm really iffy on and very hesitant on both musicals and movies with a lot of music in it, is when that music is a lot of either popular music or music that's not originally made for that musical or very musical movie. When the music is from an outside source, a song that's been sung before and made before the movie even was thought of, I get hesitant and think that the music might not fit in the movie. There's probably some original music in it, I'm not sure because I didn't check it out, but the majority of the music isn't original music, and I have to say, it actually fit in the movie quite nicely. I think there was only one or two songs, very short versions of songs, where I found it didn't quite fit the movie or the tone or the scene that it was in. And I have to say, there are musical moments in this film that I might not ever forget. I say might not ever because I never know for certainty, especially with all the movies I see. But two of these moments, there's clever things with the music actually playing in the movie, and the other two moments is because they're songs that I know. There's this one really funny musical scene, and I think it is the only time I legitimately laughed in this film. This movie is very lighthearted, it has its comical moments, but it never got really funny except for this one scene, at least for me. And I don't think it would have had much of an impact if I hadn't seen it in a comment section one time and thought that comment section, that reply, was a complete joke. When someone mentioned in the comments that he's gonna go see the movie, or she or someone's gonna go see the movie, and they said, "I can't wait for the Sound of Silence" moment, I thought, yeah right, they're never gonna have that song in this kind of movie. And then the moment when Sound of Silence actually was sung in the film, I thought, holy crap, that made me laugh. That was the only time I laughed, I think, in the entirety of Trolls. And then there's another song that I don't know if it was an original song or not because I don't recognize this song, but it's when Anna Kendrick is singing, when Poppy is singing, because she's going on this adventure, she's going through all these terrible creatures that want to eat her, and she's trying to stay happy. And there was this actual conflict where she is trying to stay happy and positive in these negative situations, and trying to keep pushing forward despite all the struggles. It has a happy beat, but there is actually some depth to it. And that's what I found with the majority of the film. Underneath it, there is something complex about it. There is some depth that I was not expecting in the slightest. For one, there's definitely more complexity to the main characters than I would have actually imagined. Like Poppy, I was like, okay, she's going to be the happiest troll ever. There's not going to be much difference in her. There's not going to be much change. But there is a conflict, just like in that song, where she's trying to stay positive, trying to stay happy. And there are moments where you feel that there is a struggle for her. Especially when it gets to the dark moment and she definitely loses all hope, like you'd expect in these movies where there is a all hope is lost moment. There is a moment like that. And unfortunately, one trailer ruined it for me because they showed it. And they showed how they got happy. And I'm like, what? But I'm not going to blame the movie for that. I'm going to blame that one single stupid trailer that showed it twice in theaters. And I love the whole backstory of Branch and why he's the way he is and why he's more of a survivalist, why he lost all hope, why he doesn't sing anymore. It was actually really tragic. I almost shed a tear for his character. I honestly almost did. And I tried to give hints to this because there is more to the Bergens than meets the eye. The reason why I mentioned 3 voices done by Bergens is because there's 2 of them that are pretty much main characters as well, plus the antagonist. There is time spent with the Bergens, and so they get some character depth as well. And you get to feel for them as well. And it all adds to the final conflict and the final solution for the film. A solution that is completely fitting for this film because Overall, the conflict is happiness versus sadness. That is pretty much what it is. I'm sure you can think of other themes as well that goes along with it, but essentially but in its basic form, it's essentially happiness versus sadness, or the fight or the will to stay happy and what you do for that happiness. And even though this is an animated film and things are explained to younger audience, there is some subtlety within it, and I don't know if it was intentional, but there's something about the antagonist that made me think a little bit more deeply with her. In the film, it's made obvious that she wants to be in control of Bergentown, and that is by serving up trolls, because she's the one serving them up. She's the one bringing the Bergens happiness, and essentially she's in control. But as that idea was mentioned in the film, I started thinking, okay, what started the Bergens eating trolls? Did they just automatically start eating them because, oh, these things are happy, we need to find happiness, let's eat them? Or was this all a plot from the chef, the evil antagonist of this film, in order to take control? Or is she wanting to take control just because she gets banished from the trolls escaping and this is her revenge? I think there's two ways you can see it, and I think there's some complexity there. Now look, this is one of those animated films that has a bit of a randomness to it, tries to add intentional jokes to keep the younger audience happy, like just throwing a random goofy joke every so often. But that really didn't bother me in this film. Usually it does. Usually I'm aggravated at movies that continually do this, and not smart jokes, not jokes that are both age appropriate to adults and kids, but just kids and just have goofy kid fun. There's animated films that bug me, especially when they try to have a deep story, but in this one, they weren't annoying. I was just sort of okay with those jokes, and I felt that the depthness and the complexity of the film outweighed the random, childish humor in the film. Plus, there's a goofy tone to it as well. There's a goofiness to it. With the character designs and the creature designs, there is a goofiness to it. And at times, there is a almost stop-motion feel to the animation. Not by the motion of the animation, but the way the animation looks. And when I saw the trailer, I was hoping that everything would be either hair or furry, kind of like how Lego Movie. When the Lego Movie came out, and everything was essentially made out of Legos, all the animation and stuff, when I saw the trailer for Trolls and saw that the fire was made out of hair, I was hoping that this would be like the Lego Movie where everything was made out of hair, because that's one of the unique factors of Trolls, the toys. But then upon sad realization, as the movie progressed, I realized not everything was made of fur or hair. It's just some things. I'm actually happy with the troll designs in this movie, because if they were like the original Trolls, the original toys, there probably could have been kids scarred for life. There's definitely similarities to the original Trolls. There's enough similarity to the Trolls in this movie, to the original design, that definitely makes them Trolls, but they're different enough where they're not creepy. I was also surprised that it wasn't as much of an adventure story, because I was thinking the whole movie was going to be their journey to Bergentown, and then Bergentown being the final climax of the film. In fact, the adventure to Bergentown doesn't take that long at all. I feel that most of the story is pretty much in Bergentown. Overall, I was really surprised by the film. I definitely liked it. I think it's above average, and I think there's some really great complexity and depth to it, but some of the goofiness and some of the childish humor in the film does bring it down a little for me. But at that same time, I can honestly say I had a good time watching this film, and I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. It's probably closer to 3.25, but I don't do quarters for my reviews, so I'm going to give it 3.5. So, did you see Trolls? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. If you haven't seen Trolls, then what is an animated film that you thought was going to be stupid, going to be childish, but then you realized, hey, there's something a lot more to this film than I originally thought? What is an animated film that just surprised you? And if you like this review and you want to see more, check out my movie reviews of 2015 and 2016. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.